Hey everyone, I hope that you are doing well. I am wanting to take a look at the base builds that you get for the 4th edition classes that are out there. We've talked about it when we went through the player's handbook, and we just kind of mentioned the base builds and what they were and how they're kind of sort of like the subclasses of each of the different classes. And I wanted to dig a little deeper into them and see what they're getting for you, and highlight the fact that, you know, what you're getting with 4th edition is you're getting options. You have like all of the options open to you, where if you look at 5th edition or 3rd edition, what happens is you get to say 3rd level in 5th edition. And if you're playing a cleric, you make a choice of to what kind of cleric you want to play. And I don't know, you know, a domain of light or whatever they are in 5th edition. And depending on what that choice is, you get certain things then to your character that you get to do following that path that you're going down. And so you make those larger choices, and then all the other decisions are made to you. And then somewhere else you might make another choice and different decisions are made, and you get a batch of things. With 4th edition, as you level up, you have different powers that become available to you, and you can choose different feats, which you can in 5th edition as well. And you basically have all the options open to you. And so it's just this big, like a big deck of cards spread out, and you are just picking and choosing which ones work for you. At each level, you get you say you could choose one of these 4, and you choose whichever one you want as you level up. And then you can even swap some as you level up as well. So, and that's great from a flexibility perspective, but it can make it difficult if you're just getting started with the game and you don't even understand what all these things are. And, so you don't know what your options are and which ones would be the best. So you struggle with that. And that's where these base builds come in, because they're essentially making those decisions for you to get you started in the game right away. You just kind of can read a quick description that says, what kind of character is this? And it tells you what choices that you can make to build a character that leans into that. So I wanted to take a look at those options for each of the classes. This one, I'm just going to look at the cleric, and we'll look at those base builds that you get for the cleric, and let's see what those builds look like, and what those options would be, and how that might impact your style of play for that character. So that's what I'm going to do today. Before we get into it, like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out the description if you want to find other ways that you can support the channel. Become a channel member where you get early access to the videos, or become a Ko-fi member where you get access to our very low traveled Discord server. Let's take a look at our cleric now. So if we look at our cleric, we've got 2 different builds to choose from. We have our battle cleric and we have a devoted cleric. And if you look at these options, the battle cleric is what you would expect. This is a cleric that is going to be fighting, is going to be up there in the fray and actually dealing damage to enemies directly. And in the course of that, will also provide some benefits to the rest of the party. The devoted cleric, by comparison, is more what you might expect from a traditional cleric, in that they're going to stay more towards the background. They're going to be making their attacks from a distance, and they might be a little bit more leaning towards providing healing or other bonuses to the party. So they're less about dealing the damage and more about helping the party. That's kind of the distinction there. And so you got to decide which kind of cleric that you want. And I know a lot of people like the fact that, hey, I wouldn't mind playing a cleric, but I don't like always just being, someone that's just doing nothing but the healing. I'd like to be able to do other stuff too. And that's where a battle cleric can really come in, if that's what you want to play, because you now have those options to play that kind of character. And then the devoted cleric would be the more traditional build that you would expect. So if we look at the battle cleric, the description here tells you, you can make strength your primary ability score, and then secondary would be your wisdom would be your Wisdom would be your secondary score, and charisma would be tertiary. And make sure that you concentrate on powers that work with melee attacks. So then we'll see that in just a second. We'll look at the powers in particular. It gives you a suggested feat of weapon focus. So let's go take a look at what weapon focus is and see what that's going to get you. And if we look here, weapon focus, there's no prerequisites for it, and you get a +1 damage with a chosen weapon group. So let me just see what that means. +1 feat bonus to damage rolls with your chosen weapon group. and then you can take that feat more than once. Okay, so you get a little extra damage there that you get to deal if you choose the weapon focus as your feat. You'll notice that in parentheses, all of these have in parentheses a human feat to choose, and it says action surge, and then you see that with the devoted cleric as well. It says human feat, human perseverance, and the reason that is that a human gets an extra feat. So every other race you get one feat at first level, whereas with a human you get a feat at every level. So and at first level you would get to choose 2 feats. And so if you are playing a human cleric, then here's the recommended feat for that. So I like that they even include that. If you're playing a human, it even tells you what that extra feat should be to save you having to make that choice. For your suggested skills, you have a selection of skills that you can choose from here. And it says for your battle cleric, you want to probably focus on diplomacy, heal, insight, and religion as your skills that you would choose. And then let's take a look at our powers. So it mentions for your at-will powers, you get to choose 2 at first level, and it says Righteous Brand and Priest's Shield. And if we take a look at those, we can see Righteous Brand, it uses strength for the attack, and you get damage that's equal to your strength modifier, or your die plus your strength modifier. And then it gives an ally with 5 squares gets a bonus to melee attacks against the target. So you're getting, again, you're doing an attack and you're giving a bonus to an ally. And then Priest Shield was the other one. This is also a strength-based attack, and it gives your regular weapon damage plus strength modifier, and an ally gets a bonus to their armor class. So we talk about a cleric as someone that's going to be trying to help their allies with the fight, but now you can be a cleric that's right up there in the face of the enemy, dealing damage, but also still giving some bonuses to your allies that are also in the attack. So that's kind of cool. And so those are both strength based, and so that battle cleric is going to be someone that you're going to want to have as strength based. And if you look at the powers that you have as a cleric, you can see that for the at-will powers, there's this one is wisdom based, this one is wisdom based, and the other 2 are strength based. So, if you decide to go the route of that battle cleric, you get 2 first level at-will powers, and that you have 2 that are based on strength. So those are the logical choices, because you're going to want powers that are going to let you do those sorts of things. But there's nothing that says you have to. You can always mix and match and say, I really like Righteous Brand, but I would like to be able to do Sacred Flame, and I am going to have a holy symbol anyway. So I want to have, that's kind of my ranged attack that I'm going to do. So I'm going to choose this one as well. So you kind of can mix it up a little bit. So that is still up to you. You're not locked in just because you're going to do this battle cleric that you have to only choose these 2. You can still mix and match, and then certainly as the powers books came out, you even had more options that you could have chosen from. And at the higher levels, or the other choices you make, encounter power prayers, there's 4 to choose from. You only get 1, and there's still 2 of each. These 2 are wisdom based, and then these 2 are strength based. So you now have an option because you have 2. You can only choose from one of these. So you make the choice of which one makes sense, and you could still even choose one of the other ones, even if you're choosing to be the battle cleric. Completely up to you to decide that. So the encounter power it recommends is Wrathful Thunder. This one also strength-based, as we said, 1 die plus strength modifier, and the target is dazed. So this one is purely really doing damage to your target. This one isn't providing a benefit for your ally. Well, it's not directly providing a benefit to your ally, but it is dazing the target, which causes then that target to be more vulnerable to the attacks from your allies. Healing Strike, you get more damage with this one, and the target is marked. In addition, an ally near you can spend a healing surge. So again, you're doing some helping your allies with some healing that they can take. So that's what you would do for. So it chooses Wrathful Thunder because it's really about that damage it's focusing on that target as opposed to Healing Strike. And then the Devoted Cleric, I skipped one. The Avenging Flame is your daily power. Let's take a look at the Avenging Flame. Strength-based, 2 weapon die plus strength modifier and ongoing fire damage. If you miss, you still get half damage and none of the ongoing damage. If the target attacks on its turn, it can't attempt a saving throw against the ongoing damage. So that's kind of cool. So you get a pretty good damage there, and then that target has to think long and hard about whether they want to make an attack, because if they make the attack, they can't make a saving throw against the ongoing damage. So you can keep doing more damage. So that fits pretty well with your battle cleric that you're trying to build. You're really trying to deal damage to that enemy, and this one isn't directly benefiting your allies, but you are doing a little more to try to take down that enemy, which fits into the theme of that character. And then we have our devoted cleric. And again, what we said is that this is the more traditional cleric that's going to stand on the fringes of the battle and attack from afar, and provide more benefits, focus more on benefits for the party. So let's take a look what that means. So for this one, your highest ability score you're going to want to be wisdom, because as we were looking at those powers, we saw that those ones that used the holy symbol were going to be wisdom based. So you want to make sure you got a strong wisdom. Then charisma would be secondary, and strength would be tertiary. So it kind of flipped that strength score really now flips all the way down to being the tertiary score for this. The suggested feat is channel divinity associated with the deity. So as you, with being a cleric, you would choose a deity that matches with whatever your alignment is. So if your alignment was unaligned, then let's say your alignment was lawful good, and you were going to choose Moradin as your deity, then it's saying that your suggested feat should be a channel divinity feat associated with your deity. So your deity would be, let me try to find it. Excuse me. Moradin's Resolve would be the channel divinity feat that you want to choose for your character. And this gives you until the end of the turn, you get a +2 bonus on attack rolls against large or larger creatures, is what you get for that, for being a follower of Moradin. And that's the feat that it recommends for you to have. And just a reminder for your channel divinities, the power itself is channel divinity. That is the encounter power. These are just different types of channel divinity. So you have channel divinity, divine fortune, turn undead, and in the case of this, if you selected Moradin's whatever it was, then that would be 3 options for you for channel divinity, but it's still just one power. So once you use any one of those 3 channel divinities, you have used your channel divinity encounter power for that encounter. You can't then use another one of them. So just keep that in mind as you're building that character. For skills, it says Arcana, Heal, History, and Religion as your skills. Let's take a look at the powers. Lance of Faith, Sacred Flame. And so with the at-wills, it's basically going with the logical choices. So before we saw that there's 4 at-wills to choose from. 2 of them are strength-based, 2 of them are wisdom-based. With the Battle Cleric, it told you to choose the 2 strength-based ones, and with this one, it's telling you to choose the 2 wisdom-based ones. Makes perfect sense. Again, if you have one of the Divine Power book, it's going to have additional powers that you could choose from as well, so you could have different options. And there's nothing that says you have to lock into those 2. You can get creative if you want. The encounter power, it recommends Divine Glow, which so this is going to be so now with your implement, so we're not using a weapon for this, we're using our holy symbol that we would use, and so it's going to be a ranged attack. In this case, it's a close blast 3. So the enemies in the blast, it's going to be a wisdom attack versus their reflex, and because it's an implement, there's not a weapon that has a weapon die, so that's why you get a 1d8 plus your wisdom modifier. That's why you want to have that really high wisdom score. And then allies in the blast get a +2 power bonus to attack rolls until the end of the next turn. So what you're doing here is you're attacking each enemy in the blast is going to get this damage, and then any allies in the blast are going to get a bonus to their attack rolls into the end of the turn. So you're really helping those allies. Just for comparison, so that's the one that it was going with. The other one is Cause Fear, and this one, the target has forced to basically you do an attack against the target with your wisdom, and that target has to run away from you. And it avoids unsafe squares if it can, and it does provoke an opportunity attack. So you could force that character to move away from you and past one of your allies, and where they get to take an opportunity attack against it. So that can come in handy. That's another option you have. It says to go with Divine Glow for this one. I just wanted to share the other option you really had. I say the other option, again, nothing prevents you from choosing one of these either if you're wanting to build a more balanced devoted cleric, but maybe a little more balanced for you. That's also possible. Because remember, these are all suggested. Every one of these is suggested. You're not saying this is what you get. It's just suggesting it to make it easier for you to do the build. And then finally, for our daily power, it says Beacon of Hope, which is this one, Wisdom versus Will. The target is weakened until the end of its next turn. So this one isn't actually doing damage. Basically, what you're doing is inside that burst, Any enemy in that burst is going to be weakened until the end of their next turn, and then you and all your allies in the burst regain 5 hit points, and your healing powers restore plus 5 hit points until the end of the encounter. That's a pretty big one. That one, as a healer, that is going to be one that you probably come back to every day. Okay, it's like a daily power, so you couldn't use it all the time, but certainly once per day, I could see that one is going to come in, because you're going to weaken the target, so everybody's going to benefit from that. And then everybody's going to get 5 hit points, and then everybody's going to get plus 5 hit points, or your healing powers are going to do an extra 5 hit points of recovery until the end of the encounter. So that's a pretty substantial one to use there. The other option that you have for wisdom-based one is Cascade of Light, which does a fair amount of damage then, and the target is vulnerable to all of your attacks for the rest of it. So that's a little more focused on you. That's a more pure damage dealing type one, but that's pretty substantial. And Guardian of Faith is interesting because it uses your implement. It doesn't actually have it gives you an extra damage for this attack that comes. These are you're conjuring some guardians that come with you, and those guardians are making an attack that's wisdom versus fortitude, and then the damage they do is 1d8 plus your wisdom. So, but conjuring the guardian is actually not using any. It's that you don't have to make a roll or anything for it. It just conjures it, and then you can control that guardian. So that's a pretty cool one also. And that one, it uses your implement, but because it is wisdom as far as the guardian goes, but that might be a good one where you're going to be that battle cleric where you just have a little bit of wisdom, just to where you're using your strength, but that you can also conjure this guardian of faith. Maybe you just have a +1 wisdom or something, but it's just a little something to give you a little extra that you could do on your turn. So just some options there. And that's our 2 builds. The Battle Cleric, the Devoted Cleric. Again, Devoted Cleric's more your traditional cleric that you might be used to and that you've come to know from playing in other editions of the game and what you've heard about what a cleric does. The Battle Cleric, though, gives people that option that would like to play a cleric but really want to be able to go and just get into the fight and deal some serious damage as well. That gives you that option. And you could shuffle the deck and merge both of these and decide, you know what, I'm going to go with my main ability is going to be strength, and my secondary ability is going to be wisdom, and I'm going to kind of mix and match and do a devoted battle cleric, and mix it up. So these are just a couple to get you started, and then you can play around with it as much as you want. So you have those options, and it just really kind of goes to show how, because 4th edition is laid out the way that it is, you are not locked into anything. These are just guides that you can use to get you started, but you can mix and match these powers however works for you. And certainly as you level up and you add, your ability scores are going to increase as you level up. And as those ability scores increase, it opens up additional things that you can do, and you can even swap powers along the way. So there's lots of things that you can do with it. You have a ton of flexibility in 4th edition with how you build your character and customize it to exactly what you want it to be. But for our cleric, that's the base build you get in the Player's Handbook: Battle Cleric, Devoted Cleric, and I think both of them are pretty good options to really get you started without having to do a lot of thinking and reviewing of all the options to you. Just put it down the way that they've got it and run with it and see what you think. So hopefully you found that helpful. Let me know down in the comments if there's anything that I glossed over that's important if you're using any of these base builds. And if you want me to cover any specific class next, please do put that down in the comments as well. Love to hear from you. And again, like the video, subscribe to the channel, check the description for other ways that you can support and get early access to videos and or access to our Discord server. So that's what we have for now. Until next time, take care.